All righty, what is up, guys? Episode 7, I believe. Marketing Magic. Got some fun stuff today. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well, man.
You are you are posting reels, which is something we're going to talk about. I just watched
Yes.
your protein pancake reel. People have to go befriend you on Facebook or something to find that, or how do they find it?
It's on either Facebook or Instagram, and both are
Okay.
public profiles. I like that. I wasn't calling it a protein pancake, but I think that's what it is.
It looked like that to me. Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, we got some fun topics today, so I'm just gonna open that back up and we'll jump in. So a couple of weeks ago, I think we were talking about like organic content.
hmm
Um, and I've been trying to uh I've decided to kind of try to make that a goal to get some sort of traction with organic content. I feel
hmm
like it's frustrated me a little bit actually because I don't know if this is the case, but it's one thing to pay for people to view your stuff. It's another thing if people want to. There's
Right.
overlap for sure. Good
Right.
ads, as we've talked about, are going to be something that someone wants to see. So there's overlap for sure. But anyways, I've basically been posting daily videos for about 2 weeks now, maybe.
Nice.
Um, and I'm doing that uh on TikTok is one sort of outlet. And then actually I just started on my personal Instagram, which is another dragon I'm slaying. But I did have one TikTok kind of pop off and it's been it's been interesting to say the least. Um in this case I kind of asked for it, but
Mhm.
the sort of any concerns about like self-consciousness or what are people going to say, oftentimes people go, oh, like, don't worry about that. It's like I was definitely thrown to the TikTok, I don't know what the term is, the arena. So I don't know if I'll even unveil what the what the TikTok was about, but let's just say this. I tried to talk about online business. I tried to teach them how to make money online and nobody seemed to care. So I started talking about dating and dating apps um and uh and that was the one that got some traction. So
Nice.
uh
Was it a controversial take?
it was
Good.
I'll give the headline. I'll give the
Okay.
headline.
Let's do it.
Or the hook. Um I go back and forth. These dating apps, I don't know. It is an app, it's a marketing channel. It's a way to meet people and connect with people, even though I'll be maybe not the most ideal way. But I was on there and I just got kind of frustrated. And so I said, okay, I've got an idea for content. And I said 99% of girls seem to fit into these 5 categories. And then I sort of went
Ooh.
through what I felt like I was seeing. So um I was I was trying to be edgy, yet also I felt like I was sharing a commonly shared experience. So
Yeah.
um but that brings me to the next point, which is uh people don't always care about you being really nice. And that might sound like, oh, so you're just going to be divisive. It's like not necessarily, but um people people want to be entertained in a certain way, or they want to be they want to get something out of your content. If it's just nice, I don't know. I don't know if you get traction. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
not nice enough or not skilled enough with the nice approach, but I heard someone else say that as well. And I've just kind of you can even say very neutral things, but you need to have a uh uh there needs to be a an authority or a way in which you frame it that
Yep.
gives people a way to relate to it.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
yeah.
You need your own, you need to have a perspective or a point of view that is worth people listening to, right? If
Hmm.
it's just plain vanilla, then what's the point? So
Hmm.
I think I think it especially when we're talking about this in the context of business, like we want to generate traffic, there has to be some unique element on the front end for people to want to pay attention to us. If we sound like everybody else, then why not just follow somebody with more authority or more followers or whatever it may be? Like, why would they listen to us? So there has to be uniqueness, there has to be difference. And we can be nice on the back end. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like there's a lot
Yep.
of people who do this. They have a little
Yep.
bit of an edgy, controversial front end, but if you ever meet this person in person, or if you're a customer or a client, they're actually great.
Yeah.
But that's not the impression they give on the front end. And we mentioned, I know a few episodes ago, we mentioned people like Ben Settle or George Ten. They've this is their vibe that I catch, right?
Yep.
It's edgy, it's controversial, it's a little bit divisive on the front end. But if you're a paying customer, you meet them in person, they're very, very nice people.
I'll one up you there. This guy, Andy Elliott, who is a lot, would be how you would describe him. He is absolutely popping off on social media. He's built uh, I believe a nine-figure brand, whatever that is, in a couple short years with zero paid ads,
Mm,
which is a feat.
that is a feat.
And he gets a lot of hate. And if anyone checks him out or probably has seen him, he's the Jack bald dude talking about sales and
Mhm.
being in shape. Um, I thought he was insane. Through an interesting chain of events, I got to go to one of his live events and meet him.
Mhm.
And this guy cares a lot about people, and he really wants to have an impact, um, to change people's lives. And he really is doing that. It's not everybody's cup of tea. He's not for everybody. Um, but he talked about that. He said, guys, you see the little clips and you see the videos. He's like, of course, that's what gets people in the funnel.
Yeah.
And a neat thing he said was, so many of my so-called haters end up being my best clients because they wouldn't care if I just said to them, you know, if he didn't tell them to be in shape or insult their income or these kind of things that he's doing,
Yeah.
they wouldn't get in the door. So I think you're right. I think nice on the back end, and you'd probably be surprised, I think, how, not to paint too broad of strokes, but a lot of these people are just really great on the back
Yeah.
end.
Totally. Uh, oh, this is awkward. I have three different places I want to go immediately. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to squeeze one in. I'll mention one, and then the next ties into another topic later. So you said, man, 9 figures with no paid traffic. That is a feat. And that reminded me, speaking of feat, here's an unsolicited testimonial for your product. I've been
Okay.
rubbing this on my wife's feet, and she absolutely loves it. And guys listening, whether you follow Ben for his dating advice or whatever, I'm not going to talk about like back rub memes, but let me just say, do some foot rubs with Ben's product. Thank me later. All right. And then number two, divisive on the front end, nice on the back end. I experienced the opposite of this with somebody last year.
Hmm.
I was attracted into somebody's world because of the messages they were sharing, and it was very, very nice on the front end. And I'm like, wow, what a stand-up guy. And I engaged him I became a customer. And on the back end, I was like, this guy doesn't give a flying you know what
Mhm.
about any of his customers. He actually um he resents, and he looks down on the people who follow him and buy his stuff. Just
Wow.
I got well, I mean, that was my impression after working with him. I'm like,
Yeah.
this guy is a dick bag. Can I say that on YouTube? I don't know. But I was extremely turned off and have kind of exited out of that world. And it, like, you would never know this on the front end. Just
Yeah.
paints the picture of, you know, chummy, helpful dude. But then on the back end, the things that go through his head and come out of his mouth when he's talking about his customers and the interface between them, I'm like, I want no part of this.
Yeah.
So it's it's far better to do it the other way, right? To be a little bit edgy on the front end, and you bring in the people who you polarize, right? Both the people you attract and the people that you repel sometimes. And then that high energy, whether it is positive or negative, can allow you to create super fans on the back end and have great relationship, great delivery, which I think it's fascinating because I think a lot of people do it the wrong way. They do it the other guy's way, right?
Mhm.
We're overly nice on the front end, but then that might attract some folks who are maybe not really our best people. And then we end up, if you're working with people that you don't like, if you don't like your customers, you're going to end up resenting them and resenting your business and hating everything about it. And that is no way to live your life.
Yeah.
So, like, set it up so that you're building something that you love to do every day.
Yeah. I love that. And I guess maybe that's the qualifier is where like so let's just say like yeah, some of these comments are harsh, and some of them are true, which was actually very good feedback. Um, but I had a pretty good amount of peace overall, which I was almost surprised by because like I do know I have good intentions, and is it a little bit edgy? I'm not saying some like I'm not talking to someone and insulting them. I am painting in broad strokes, and there is a lack of nuance in the perspective that I shared that is going to get people riled up. But my intention is to kind of um I mean connect with people who have similar values as well as create content that hopefully gets people to. So my little tagline is raise your standards on
Mhm.
TikTok, and it's just a personal page with some of these kind of little videos. But my intentions are to hopefully inspire people to be better. I'm trying to improve, and I'm looking for people who are trying to improve. And so it goes. I think it needs to go as part of that. That if you're going to do
Mhm.
that kind of content, that your intentions are good. To your point, because otherwise, I I think the first sign will that it really doesn't sit well with you if you do that.
Mhm.
But also, yeah, like you said, you're gonna attract people that you like that you don't want.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. Okay. On this same note, to maybe a more, I don't know if it's more relevant, but in a separate instance, talking with a guy I do some Facebook ads consulting with, and he said his advice to me. He spends a lot of money on ads and has worked with some big brands, and he was saying how he believes that 2024 with the sort of adscape is going to be a more personal side to a lot of ads. A lot of saying a lot of the sort of standard only brand stuff, the more corporate's not the right word, but less personal brand stuff
Yeah.
may be harder to compete with. And so the way to do this is to stand out. And I'd gotten this message from a few different angles. I was listening to the founder of Shopify with Alex Ramosi. They had a great interview, and he said the same thing. Um, so I was like, okay, I need to execute fast on this. I don't necessarily want to do this, but I think that I should do a founder ad. I had done one that was more edited and a little more polished with my face, but I literally got out my phone. I went for a walk and I filmed some videos talking about my product and brand and what we stand for. And it is by far the best performing ad that I've ever run. Um, it is, I think the one is running at like over a 5 return on ad spend for the past 5 days or so. Um, so it was neat to see that work. And also it was neat to, um, is it marketing? Yes. Is there an angle to it? Yes. But it was also very simple and straightforward, which I think some people they can lose sight of when they're trying to, what is working on Facebook right now? What is working on Instagram? Sometimes simply talking to your audience as you, the person who's running the business, is the most effective way to market your product. So
Mhm.
uh, I guess don't be afraid to lean into that or test that out if it's something that you have not been doing.
Mhm. Absolutely. I I have one quick great example of that. So, have you heard of Lumi deodorant?
Uh, I'm not sure.
It's like an unconventional I won't say it's all natural, but it's it's definitely like a non-mainstream deodorant, right? Different ingredient profile, whatever. And they grew really fast. I mean, similar to the native deodorant model.
Mhm,
And they got bought by Harry's Razors a couple of years ago, I think
mhm.
in 2021.
Okay.
But the founder, by the way, who occasionally attends Capcom, um, I so they launched a new line that's more targeted to men, and I started seeing ads in my social media feeds of the founder, the lady who founded it, like doing a social media style advertisement for the new product. And at the same time, Lumi is running conventional television ads, and they're in like Target stores and Walmart and this and that. I'm like, they're a 9, maybe 10-figure brand, but
Yep.
they've got the founder doing founder video ads on social media to launch this new product, this new brand.
Yep.
So it speaks exactly to what you're saying. Like even the very, very big brands with, fundamentally unlimited ad budgets are
Yep.
using that style of advertisement on social media. So they must have the data to say that that's most effective. And then they're running, conventional stuff on conventional channels.
Yep. I'll give two more quick examples that I've actually not seen but just heard about. Um, and the one is I don't know if you've heard about this, Zuckerberg and their Oculus or version of the Apple thing.
Yeah.
So this AI thing. So I haven't seen this, but everyone's talking about Zuck's the UGC creator now because I guess he sat down with and did a video of him talking about why Meta's AI is better than the Apple one or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And you know, I don't know the data behind it, but it's the same thing. Like I bet it crushed. Like I bet
Mm-hmm.
it absolutely it absolutely crushed. And then the other one, which I haven't actually seen the video of this one as well, but it was Kanye did an ad recently. I believe it was a similar vibe of him
Mm-hmm.
talking about his product. And I know that one, um, I think, yeah, had like a 4 times return on whatever
Yeah,
he spent. So it's interesting. It's interesting and maybe it is a bit of a shift because although that's always kind of been a thing, it seems to be what people resonate with.
absolutely. I think that that's a perfect lead to the next topic that you mentioned, which is really this idea of if founder ads are so critical, and part of the success of like especially personal brand building is having a message that is unique and different, potentially divisive or controversial. Like um, we're taught that we should do things to be liked, right? And all of this flies in the face of that, blend in, follow the crowd, be liked. That I mean, that's implicitly and subconsciously what we're all taught. So how do you get over that self-consciousness and start posting content that's going to move the needle? Like, how do you make yourself want to stand out, or how do you make yourself get through that? I'm not going to call it a fear. For most people, it's a terror, right? People have a terror of public speaking in front of 20 people. And we're telling them, no, 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 you got to get your face on the internet so that millions of people can watch you and judge you. Like, how do you get past that?
Yeah, I think there's like two answers. Like the one is I think having a bit of like a almost like a chip on your shoulder where you almost decide that you don't care and you're going to start like talking about something. And it can be helpful to even go into that with a little bit of a I'm going into battle here. Like there's a little bit of um, you know, I'm going into it with a bit of an attitude maybe where I'm inviting um both fans and haters,
Mm-hmm,
um, which is what we talked about, which can sometimes create this content that can polarize but also engage very well.
mm-hmm,
So that's one thing. I don't think you necessarily need to like start there though. I think the other step and something that literally like 2.5 years ago now, I did a challenge with a few friends of recording a video every day and uploading it to a YouTube channel, just publishing it. And this
mm-hmm.
video could be about anything. It did not have to be for a business. Like this was literally to get over the fear of speaking to a camera and posting it. And I didn't I didn't have much measurable results from that challenge. Um, and I was kind of like, oh, okay. But looking back, it really did break the initial just fear,
Mhm.
um, and get some reps in. So I definitely recommend, even if someone feels like they're not ready to do it for their brand, which I think is a good thing to do. Start
Mhm.
somewhere, like start smaller then, like do it on the channel. Nobody knows you,
Hmm.
and literally just start posting. And then what was neat about that is I had a good friend actually followed up later and said to me, he said, I think that was the reason why I started doing a lot of things was because of that. I got over like so his one video that ended up kind of getting some traction was him, and he's not a musician, was him playing Jingle Bell, stumbling through, I think, Jingle Bells on the guitar. It was Christmas, and he was literally, I'll record this, and and that was the one that got some traction, and even some of it, he was a teacher at the time, even some of his students ended up finding it, which is funny. The point being, though, he said that got me over a hump, and now he's building a brand, he's posting, and he's kind of on his way, so to speak. So
Cool.
yeah.
I have, yeah, I realized that I had this subconscious need or desire to be liked a couple years ago. And I paid a lot of money to have that deleted from my brain. There's a company that does this kind of thing, and it's not anything like woo woo or like Neuralink
It's like
creepiness or anything like that.
the Men in
It's
Black like stick. They
it
flash you or whatever.
no, nothing like that. I mean, it's basically like you have a conversation with somebody who's trained in being able to have you consciously access your subconscious kind of through this chain of questions. It's crazy how well it works.
Mhm.
But after doing this, I can legitimately say that I honestly don't care if people like me or not anymore.
Mm.
Like at this point, I honestly don't care. Instead, I have this desire. It's it's hard to use the right language because depending on people's what they equate these words with, it might mean something different. But the way I describe it that makes sense to me is I don't care if people like me, but I want to be um, not necessarily respected, but I want to be respectable. Like I want to be somebody
That's
who
it.
is growing in virtue, and I want to help other people to do the same thing if that's their desire. In what and what I do is very, very heavily business focused, but there's elements of why that ties into that other thing. So what that means is that I can definitely be a nice guy, but if it doesn't serve, you, my customer, or me to be nice in a particular situation, then I no longer take the easy way and pat him on the head and say, "Wow, your Instagram content looks great. Your email was really cute." Now I
Yeah.
say, "You know what? I'm really sorry to tell you this, but your Instagram content absolutely sucks. It's some of the worst I've ever seen in my life. You have 0 views and 0 likes for the last 3 months. Something is not working. So let's not take offense at this, right? Let's look at it objectively, figure out what needs to be fixed because what you ultimately desire is not for people on Instagram to like you. It's to build an audience so that you can monetize this. So let's get that part right. And don't attach your ego to results of an experiment that we're doing, which is what's the right way to do this to get the desired result, right? So I can give somebody critical feedback and not worry about hurting their feelings because I don't care if their feelings are hurt. What I'm trying to help them get is this result that they told me they wanted in the first place. You know what I mean? So I'm actually more effective at what I do now by not caring whether or not I'm liked. Now, plenty of people like me, and that's great, but that's not the end goal. Plenty of
Mhm.
people don't like me either.
Yeah.
So I
I
love, sorry, I was gonna say I love what you said about you have to um, you just have to initiate something that starts to break down that subconscious whatever's going on that's holding you back. And there's a lot of ways to do it. Like you can you can wipe it out in a few weeks and pay a lot of money like I did, or you just start like chipping away at that brick wall until it crumbles.
Yeah. I'll add one more. I actually I want to echo all of that because I didn't do the Men in Black thing, but I went through my own version of that over the, I think the longer period of time, which was exactly what you said, where it's like starting to realize that the goal was not to be like pleasing people, but
Mhm.
starting to realize that my mission was like, I want to grow. I do want to share what I'm learning. And I know what I'm doing. Going back to that intention piece, I know this is really worthwhile and really serving like my this is me using my gifts. This is how I can live out my mission. And when that's the goal, suddenly, yeah, you don't care as much. Like really that can fade away, that sort of like because oh yeah, here's the second piece I was gonna tie onto that was um the people who the people who will not like it, like you also start to not care about their opinions because you're like, well, I, I don't want what you have. Like, so it's I get that you this might not make sense for you, but when you just have confidence in what you do want and where you're going, you're like, this makes sense. It makes sense to say this, to do this content because I'm not aiming at what you've got going on over there. And so you can tune in or you can hate or you can not tune in, but it has no bearing really on what I'm doing here. So I
Right.
love that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Um, Overall, I think it's cool because I think like for everyone, there's just demons to be slayed with doing content and things like that. And I think so many people, I know I could relate to this, like seeing to start watching someone start to do the thing that you want to do. Um, and maybe you even resent them a little bit because well there's a reason they can do it or you know all these reasons come up and but you're simply not doing it. You the longer that goes on you start to kind of identify well like why am I not doing that? Is that not a skill that I can do? Is it not relevant to my goals? Like you start to go down these different reasons and then you start to solve the problems or the impediments to your point of why you aren't doing it. So it's not that everyone has to, but it's like if you want to, like they'll probably start identifying the things that are standing in your way, and then you can kind of like tackle those. Because I kept saying, well, it would be too general. My content would be too general, or it would be I can't just talk about this, or my Instagram is family and friends right now, so they don't want to see this, so I shouldn't burden them even by doing that. And it's like that's just kind of all BS.
It is. It is. And look, ultimately, if you're somebody who's watching Ben and I right now, it probably means that you want something different than what you currently have, right?
Yeah.
You want, and what you currently have is probably what most people already have. So what we're telling you to do is to stand out from the crowd, which is scary.
Mhm.
It was so funny. Like I thought the years ago there was this messaging of like, are you the 99% or the 1%? And the 1% was being demonized. And I'm like, that's fine. I view that a little differently. Like the 99% is kind of like a herd of cattle. They all go in one direction and do the same thing and eat grass. Um, but I'm the guy who eats cattle.
Yeah.
I literally, and this refers back to the stupid social media content. That should be my link this week.
Yeah.
You can watch me cook a 1 pound protein pancake on Instagram in the link in the description. But it's just like you have to choose to to stand out, to be different, even though that means you're going to be judged
Hmm.
and attacked because different people are afraid of different.
Hmm.
So you have to intentionally choose to just live a different life than pretty much everybody else and be okay with that.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that comes down to like what you want, I guess, too, as well. Um,
Yeah.
Now maybe this will be the final thing, but given that you posted that reel, are you, I know you post stuff like fairly consistently.
Mhm.
Are you trying to do more of this or how are you seeing this? I know it's maybe not right now a vehicle for
Mhm.
for
No,
business as much as, but I'd like
that's a
to,
great question because anybody who pays attention to what I say, I tell people just focus on one thing at a time, one traffic channel, and that's not what I'm doing. And the way I justify what I'm doing is I want to be able to speak to different situations, and I'm just playing around, to be completely honest. Most of my lead gen comes from Facebook, which is terrible for lead gen. And I'm going to refocus on building out some YouTube stuff this year. That's going to be like the real like business stuff where I'm trying to pull in leads for my business. And I'm going to dabble around on Twitter or X, but I don't consider that a huge lead gen source for me. It's really an opportunity for me to learn some cool things from other people who are doing things that I think are cool. Instagram, what I do on Instagram is follow things that I think are interesting, and I follow like clients and students accounts,
Mhm.
and I post stupid things. Like Instagram is where my mom follows me. Okay. So I'm not going to use it for business whatsoever. If I should get a lead from Instagram, that's great. But I'm just going to basically create fairly stupid content with the intent of documenting the process of what stupid content works to get the most reach and whatever. But I'm not taking it seriously whatsoever. But I am the reel that I posted of my protein pancake did have I was trying to make it a good reel, right?
Mhm.
With the not having really done it before. So I had an attention grabbing hook at the very beginning,
Mhm.
and then I kind of with editing, I was trying to draw people through this stupid scenario,
Mhm.
which I didn't. I burned my hand creating that video on grease, a grease splatter. Um, so the sacrifices we make for our art. But it's just me
For the
playing
gram,
around,
as
being
they
being
say.
stupid, and people will be entertained by it if I do my job well.
Mhm.
But that's really all it is me playing around. But then I'll be able to speak to, oh, this particular style of video works well. Um, this other one doesn't because a lot of I get a lot of questions about like what content should people be creating,
Uh-huh.
and I tell them, well, founder content with your face works better than anything else, and there's still a lot of resistance to that. Some people either can't or won't do that, and so I want to play around with some things to be able to give them like something helpful. Um, here's what you can do to get a solid B minus if you don't want to show your face,
Yep.
and have it be helpful.
Yeah, I love that. Um, I think that's great. And to put another pin in that, because we talked last week about simplifying on my business side, that remains the same. I'm focusing on ads. I'm focusing on what is working. Um, to your point of why you're doing it, this other thing is more of this little bit of a personal vendetta for knowing I've wanted to create more personal brand content and just have not done that and have had lots of excuses around why I'm not doing that.
Mhm.
So I am doing that now. And I have to say, it just feels good to be doing it. The inputs, I can't control the outputs. I can control those inputs. So it feels good to be doing this. And for what it's worth, I am 3 days in. I started posting on my personal Instagram account 3 days ago. And related, not related, I don't know. I've gotten 8 new followers, and I don't really get followers on my personal account. So it's just like, okay, that's neat. Like, because sometimes even a small win doesn't need to go viral, but like I was talking to a friend the other day and we were talking about how dumb it is. I know we're getting long here. This is the last thing. When
Yeah.
we check our phones for Insta, we check for our notifications, and you go through the list. I check Shopify for sales, and then I check my email, and then my Instagram. It's like we want those dopamine hits, right?
Yeah.
And it can be hard to turn that off. But
Mhm.
what I have found, and what I was sharing with him, was that you can make those dopamine hits worth more if you're creating inputs that create better quality notifications.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm alone in the fact that literally sometimes I'm checking my email. There's nothing good that should be coming through. There's no good email. Like I'm just checking it, or
Mhm.
I'm just want to see like a red thing on my Instagram. But that's a very cheap. You haven't done anything to earn it. Like, have you put in anything that would merit you getting a good notification? And so the goal is to just hijack that or leverage that habit to be like, let's start doing some little things that would merit a good notification. So then at least you get that reward for having done something and it
Mhm.
means something. Maybe it's a new follower, maybe it's one like, maybe it's one sale on Shopify, but you've kind of you've done something. It's like going to the gym and then getting your coffee or something like that. So I think that's a great way to kind of hack the addiction instead of fight the addiction.
Totally.
But that's my last kind of thing.
Yeah, I got nothing else. My phone is in front of me on the desk here. I've received 14 new notifications since we started recording. I don't know what they're about. I just see the different apps popping up, and I'm wondering, are these dopamine hits that are furthering my
Right.
mission? Or did somebody like and comment on my protein pancake? We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. All right, guys. That's all for now. We'll see you next week.